Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. I hope everybody's having a great Memorial Day morning. Hopefully the rain clears out of here in the Northeast. We hope here by mid-morning or earlier. And I welcome in my co-host, Boxing Hall of Fame writer and Michael Spink's biographer, Jack Hirsch. How are you, Jack?
Hey, good, Keith. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Any big Memorial Day plans for you, Jack?
You're watching the games, Keith. I watch the games.
I want to get outdoors and watch the games by a fire. That's what I want. Get rid of this rain. And by the way, just a quick reminder, while everybody's having fun, I said this about 10 times on the Sunday Stream of Consciousness yesterday. While you're having fun, you're drinking your beer, you're burning your hot dogs, remember why we're celebrating today, too, because we get to celebrate. Jack and I get to argue on this show. We get to argue whatever we want in this country because of the people who gave up, made the ultimate sacrifice. And that's what today's all about. So please, at least think about them in passing today, if nothing else. So please.
Well said, Keith. Well said.
With that, the world of sports, the basketball season rolls on. It feels endless sometimes, doesn't it? But the basketball season rolls on last night with the Spurs, after a locker room pep talk from Pops yesterday, come out and look like the team that they were most of the regular season and kind of dismantled the Thunder last night. I'm not surprised. Wemby was just unstoppable last night. And the bench that I've raved about for the Thunder didn't really come through the way they have in the past. SGA with a tough game, but the Spurs even us up. I want this to go 7 because if we assume the Knicks are going to get there, I want whoever comes out of this to be as beat up as possible.
Well, Coach Pop is one of the great coaches in NBA history, but his locker room talk, I mean, let's be honest about it. It wasn't a difference maker. I mean, it was nice. It's a nice story. Coach Pop comes back. He's very nice as an advisor. And the players respect him. He's good to have around. And it's good to have the old Spur alumni if they could come around, the Duncans, the Robinsons, et cetera, et cetera.
Why don't we see that, great. Jack? Why don't we see that elsewhere? We see it in New York, right? We see Bernard King there. We see Patrick Ewing there. How come we don't see the guys for these other teams that show up?
It's New York. A lot of them live in the area there.
Yeah.
And the Knicks tradition doesn't match up to the Spur tradition, unless to a certain extent you were going to cut out Walt Clyde Frazier. That was a happier time. But
Clyde's there too.
Tend to respect the more recent eras in sports. Case in point would be even the New York Yankees. We respect the era, the 90s, as opposed to 1970s. And Craig Nettles won't be in Monument Park, which is ridiculous for the Yankees. But you have a host of guys who came later who are going to be. But that's another story.
Just real quick. I know I'm off the rails a little bit, but this just.
I'm always off the rails, Keith.
This just came to me as we were talking. I mean, I see guys from all those different eras. Clyde is there. Bernard King's there. Ewing, John Starks, a bunch of players. I don't see Tim Duncan or Robinson or Parker at these games for the Spurs. Why not?
Well, they don't live in the San Antonio area. That's the difference. If they did, I'm sure they'd be at the games. And I mean, I haven't heard any dissension ever within the Spur organization.
No,
players unhappy with the Spurs. You never had anything remotely close to a Charles Oakley case with the New York Knicks. The Knicks surprised me a little since we're up the rail. Stephon Marbury, I didn't think he left on the fondest terms.
He did not.
But speaking of the Knicks teams, and we could talk a little about the Knicks because they're obviously we're going to do that because they're playing tonight. Imagine had they gotten it done, those guys, and they'd won one championship, the John Starkses, the Ewings, of course, Carmelo Anthony, etc., how big they would really be. I mean, but they didn't quite get it done. But the Knicks fans are great. They look back fondly on those guys because those guys came somewhat close. Didn't quite get over the top. And I kind of wonder about this current Knicks team if they do win it all, how they're going to be perceived in the future. Are they going to be looked at as semi-legendary players as far as the franchise goes. Would a Mikal Bridges ever be as big as a Carmelo Anthony, for example? I mean,
yes, he won.
Well, Carmelo Anthony's a better player. Carmelo Anthony's a Hall of Fame, a great player. But to me, he's not a Knick legend. He never did anything, off the rails as a Knick player. He certainly shouldn't get his number retired. To me, that would be, way off base.
You become a legend by winning. Who's a better player, Bill Bradley or Carmelo Anthony?
Carmelo Anthony, easy.
Who's more beloved by Knick fans? Bill Bradley.
Carmelo Anthony, and I'm going to tell you why. No. Let me explain why, Keith. We have different generations now. Unfortunately, Bill Bradley's become nearly irrelevant because with the modern fans, Carmelo had a certain style of game. He's more recent. Certain old timers can pass the test of time. Okay. Walt Clyde Frazier, he had a certain flair. Iconic athletes in other sports like a Joe DiMaggio could pass the test of time. Babe Ruth, those guys. But
so when does that team fade away then? Because you're saying because of time, Bill Bradley is not as beloved as he was.
But Bill Bradley was never a great player.
I didn't say he was. I didn't say he was.
An artificial Hall of Famer. He was a good, smart, heads-up player.
He was a very good player.
Bill Bradley wasn't as good as a John Stockton, for example. He just wasn't there. He was good.
That's from a non-Knicks fan telling you he's a legend and a much more respected than, say, Carmelo. I agree.
You want to know? No.
You're right about one thing.
He's liked more because there's nothing to dislike about Bill Bradley, nothing at all. Carmelo, there are things to dislike about him, unfortunately. I'm not saying he's not a very good person, Carmelo. I'm not saying that for a moment. But something about his game, his refusing to play defense when he was with the Denver Nuggets, forcing his way out, as opposed to Bradley, a Rhodes Scholar who was a United States Senator.
I think he's more beloved and respected than Carmelo amongst an older generation. Now maybe that dies with my age, my group of people, your group of people.
No. If Bradley
people don't remember the history of their team, that's the problem.
They don't remember the history of the team. That's in large part of that. That has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
an awful lot to do with it.
That's sad in my mind, but
I mean, you could match up that Knick team to this Knick team, and listen. I mean, would you take Walt Clyde Frazier over Jalen Brunson? Instinctively, you would, but you're not sure. You're hesitating now. But Clyde Frazier is a legend. Brunson's not a legend. Maybe he'll be one someday, but he's not one now.
To the original question, I think if they were to win it all, it's a big if. I think Jalen Brunson at least moves into that group of people.
Yeah, if they win it all, and Jalen Brunson is Finals MVP, they got the parade and all. Jalen Brunson is a Knick legend for life.
Yeah, he moves ahead of the Bernard Kings.
For life.
He moves ahead of the Bernard Kings and a Carmelo Anthony's, and maybe Patrick Ewing, quite frankly, if he wins.
That's a tough one. If you talk about the greatest Knick of all time, even Willis Reed was very gracious. He wasn't just throwing a compliment. Willis Reed, when he was alive, said Patrick Ewing is the greatest Knick of all time.
Yeah.
And he did it. Willis meant it. And you want to know something? And that's the truth.
The lack of rings hurts, though. I mean, it's not his fault, obviously, but
Ewing never had a great number two.
Right.
That was never, people don't realize that. He never had that great secondary guy. Imagine this. I mean, Charles Oakley puts down Ewing now because Oakley has his feud with Knick owner James Dolan, and Ewing didn't come to Oakley's defense. So Oakley's mad at Ewing and he trashes him. Imagine Ewing had Scottie Pippen as his primary number two on those Knick teams, and Oakley was on the Bulls, remained with them, and he was Jordan's primary number 2. You want to know something? The Knicks win at least one championship.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fun trip down memory lane.
It is. It's always fun.
Yeah, I like that because that's all we have is memories right now. We need to win a championship here this year.
You can't be proven wrong, Keith. That's why you kind of like to duck it.
There you go. Danny's got family in Rochester, and Bill Bradley's still beloved there, even by the
Danny, you're in Los Angeles. You don't know the feeling here now in New York.
His family's in
Rochester. They're stuck upstate New York. You know, your family in Rochester. They're not they're only a couple hours from Syracuse, Danny. Didn't Carmelo deliver an NCAA championship?
He did.
Syracuse Orangemen, come on.
Why are you battling for Carmelo?
They have to.
Are you writing a biography of Carmelo Anthony now, or what? Because it sounds like.
Listen, I'm not a Carmelo Anthony fan, but he wasn't. Listen, for years I held it against Carmelo Anthony. None of his teams ever got to the finals. They never got to an NBA finals, let alone winning it. And he was a selfish player at times, I thought. And then I thought he's not a winner. But then I realized, you win an NCAA championship. You're a winner. Winning an NCAA title, is it harder than winning an NBA title? That's a great question. That's a debate question I should maybe use in the show. What's harder, to win an NCAA title or an NBA title? And Carmelo Anthony, too, was on 3 Olympic teams and gold medal winning teams. And to be on those teams, he'd have to take a back seat to other great players a lot of times. So he showed he could blend in there. I mean, I give him kudos. I just wish when he was with Denver, he played defense. One thing I'm adamant about, Carmelo Anthony should not have his number retired by the Denver Nuggets. That would be ludicrous. Like the Dallas Mavs, they retired Mark Aguirre's number, and Mark Aguirre forced his way out of Dallas, and they retired the guy's number. I mean, it is dumb.
Still a great player.
But to retire his number, a guy forces his way out.
How many numbers have the Dallas Mavericks retired, for crying out loud? Can't be many.
No, I think 2, Rolando Blackman and him. But
Dirk's got to get his number retired before Aguirre.
Wait, has Dirk? Why hasn't Dirk? Yeah, Dirk hasn't had his number. Wait a second. I don't know. I might be wrong. I can't imagine them having not already retired Dirk's number. Can you imagine they retired Mark Aguirre's number ahead of Dirk's number?
That'd be crazy.
Ahead of Dirk Nowitzki. Can you imagine that?
Let's see if we can find this quick, Jack.
Listen, the Orlando Magic, they retired Shaq's number.
Dirk's number's retired.
4 years for the Magic.
Dirk's number's retired.
What?
There's 5 guys with numbers retired for the Magic.
Yeah. When I said
Aguirre, Rolando Blackman, Brad Davis, and Derek Harper, all retired numbers.
Harper, how many years did he play for Dallas?
12 seasons. Parts of 12 seasons.
Okay, I mean, you don't retire a number unless it's a guy, a borderline legendary type player for the franchise. Retiring these numbers is ludicrous. Make a team Hall of Fame and put these guys in a team Hall of Fame. That's good. I mean, I'm 100% for team Hall of Fame.
I'm with Danny's on my side in this argument.
Bill Bradley's a New Jersey guy, senator from New Jersey, but I'm just saying many in the entire New York area didn't respect him as much as you think. Bill Bradley was a great Ivy League title. Jack is number mentioned today. No, what I'm saying is this. I'm not a Carmelo Anthony fan. He was a selfish guy. I said it. Listen to my words. He's a selfish guy. Bill Bradley was the opposite. He was a humble guy. Bill Bradley blended into the team concept.
Let's go back to my original.
Carmelo didn't, but Carmelo is a far greater player.
That's not what I asked, though. What I said was, who would be more respected and beloved by Knicks fans, Carmelo Anthony or Bill Bradley? And I think it's Bill Bradley by far. If I was to go out and take a poll of Knicks fans, I think it's Bill Bradley by far.
You might be right in this sense. Is Carmelo? They never got to a finals with Carmelo Anthony. Never got to a finals, and to me, Carmelo Anthony went into the Hall of Fame basically as a Knick. His career was split down the middle between the Nuggets and the Knicks, but Carmelo said during his induction speech, he gave the majority of praise to the Knicks. You know, he considers himself a Knick player through and through. But Carmelo Anthony never established an ultimate legacy with the Knicks. He could have, had he stayed with Denver and been with them the majority of his career, it would have been different. And even at the end of Carmelo Anthony's career, he had a hard time getting a job. He finally hooked on to a couple of teams. What was it, Houston and Portland?
I think that sounds right, yeah.
And he blended in at that point because he needed to show them, I'm not going to be selfish. I'm not going to be a problem. I can still play a bit, you know? And he kind of cooled it. But he was, you know, he was a little bit of a prima donna. I hate to say it. Say it, you know? So, yes, Bill Bradley would be more popular.
All those Knicks are beloved. Every one of those guys.
At the point, I'm just trying to say this. Carmelo Anthony, like him or not, was a great player.
I didn't say he wasn't. I didn't say he wasn't.
Bradley, you could love him all you want. He was not a great player. He was a great teammate.
Great team player.
A great teammate, great the way he could blend into the team concept.
Yeah, well, I think we're all on the same page. Basketball talent-wise, Carmelo was head and shoulders above Bill Bradley. You played one-on-one, Carmelo would win all day, right?
Yesterday's game. Let's get to yesterday's game.
Let's go back to yesterday's game. That's where we started.
I think you wanted to avoid talking about it because you thought the way the Thunder would absolutely beat the Spurs in this series, and when they came back and won the last two games, especially winning game 3 the way they did.
I did call this a 7-game series.
I mean, you didn't think it was over, but you really thought, you know, okay, now we've got this.
Well, I wanted to go 7 games, as I said. I want them to get. I want the winner of this to come up.
What you want, I mean, but what you thought, you know.
No, I thought it'd be 7 games.
Yeah, I hope the Spurs could win another game, you know.
Yeah,
get a little more rest.
I never said this wasn't a good basketball team. This is a good basketball team.
Spurs are going to win the next 2 games. They're going to win the next 2 games.
Did I say that?
You know, you're looking, Keith. I know what you're doing. You're laying back because you're following the blueprint of your mentor, Mac. Your mentor, Mac, my close friend and my buddy, Mac. Your mentor, Mac, who waits until a team is up 1 game from winning it all. Once they've got 3 wins and they're up 3-2 or whatever, then you pick them to win the series. I picked them to win. You know, you wait for them to get an advantage. I go out on the limb. You don't go out on the limb.
What did you teach in high school? Because you're like the king of revisionist history. I mean, I picked Oklahoma City before this ever started. I mean, come on. You know, I picked the Thunder before it was over. Listen, I'll end up picking the Knicks if that's the matchup, but I still think the Thunder are the best team.
I want to tell you, you know, you want to talk about revisionist history. I mean, I honestly thought, you know, the year the Red Sox came back when they were down 3-0, I felt the Red Sox, that was their year all along. I picked them to win it. But when the Yankees were up 3-0, I thought no team comes back from 3-0. I said, I can't believe it. The Yankees actually going to win this series. But as soon as it became 3-1 and the Yankees were ahead, I say, no, the Red Sox are winning the next 3. So, you know, you never know, but it's all revisionist, this and that. But yesterday, OKC, I mean, I don't get OKC. They want the same team. They won game 3. But was it a question, Keith, of this Spurs team being a different team? What happened?
Combination. I think it's a combination. I think the Spurs played much better defense. quite frankly.
Stefan Castle did a heck of a job on SGA. Give him this credit. They threw a lot of guys on SGA.
They've done that. They've done that previously. Last night it clicked, though.
Listen, you know what the odd part about it? We keep thinking in this series what OKC has to do to stop Wemby, and we tended to forget to think, what does San Antonio have to do to stop SGA? You know, we kind of neglected that, and that made it their primary focus. Jay Williams, what's with the hamstring? How much of an effect do you think it has?
It's got to have an effect, but you can't blame injuries. I don't ever blame injuries. Everybody has injuries, and you have to step up. And normally, their bench has stepped up and made that contribution that mitigated the loss of him. But last night, they could have used him, that's for sure, because they didn't have. I don't think they had anybody that really provided a spark all night long.
Yeah, you know? I'm going to tell you, I love the attitude of Wemby. He says after this game, we can't celebrate this. We have 6 more wins to go. I love when they think of the big picture. The cop-out normally is one game at a time, one game at a time. But Wemby's thinking big picture. But one thing I will say, what San Antonio has to get back to doing, even though yesterday they were superb, they've got to pound the ball into Wemby at times as well. They've kind of gotten a little away from that.
Yeah.
You know, a little away from that. At least one of these games, they've got to get the inside game going a little more, the way they did in game 1. Wemby was unstoppable at the basket in game 1, you know, and Chet Holmgren is doing what he can do.
He's a great defensive player.
Hartenstein got OKC off to a decent start last night. You know, he drives to the basket, throws in that little floater, you know, keeps OKC a little bit on the back foot, you know, when he does that. But Hartenstein's not going to be a factor on offense.
Well, Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren both picked up a couple early fouls last night, which I think might have changed their aggressiveness a little bit too last night. So that played, I think, a factor in that quick run by the Spurs.
And Caruso, who's been great, didn't show up yesterday. He didn't get a point, did he?
Did he have a point?
I don't think he had a point.
Caruso. He did not. He only shot the ball. He only shot the ball once all night. 14 minutes.
I mean, what? Maybe was hurt or something. I don't know, but
still a lot of minutes off that bench. No help.
Basically, comes. I mean, Game 5 obviously is pivotal, but I'm going to tell you this: it's not. There's a difference between a must game, Keith, and a very important game. Game 5 is very important, more so to OKC, because obviously they're going back to San Antonio for Game 6, and to go down 3-2 is a bit precarious. But and I told you on the past show, yesterday I mentioned, if San Antonio was going to lose yesterday and they would be down 3-1, they're not coming back and winning 3 in a row against OKC. OKC's too good. 2 in a row they can do. 2, absolutely. It's a Game 5, very important. It's not a must. Home court is a nice advantage, very nice. But both teams showed they can win on the other team's home court.
Yeah, they're both split, right? So
exactly.
As Danny said, they both did what they had to do. So
it's an advantage, but not an insurmountable advantage.
No, but I think it's a bigger game. It's a pivotal game. Game 5's often
Game 5's always pivotal. When it's 2-2.
It's more important, as I think you alluded to, for the Thunder, because they're going to have to win in San Antonio one more time if they don't win tonight.
And consider this, we have a different mindset because we don't play the games. Counting the playoffs and regular season, I believe the record is San Antonio's won 6 of the 9 games. So to their mindset, you know, we're used to beating these guys. We've beaten them enough times that they're not going to be lacking in confidence. Even though after what happened in game 3, that had to shake them up, because you get off to a 15-0 lead in game 3, you're San Antonio. I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be a rout. San Antonio's going up 2-1. They're going to beat this team by over 20 points or whatever. And San Antonio actually loses, and loses badly when all is said and done. I mean, it had to shake them up a little bit.
Well, they also blew a big lead in game 1 too. So you know,
but you always felt they had a little bit of a handle there. You always felt. But yesterday, when Wemby hit that half-court shot, I told myself it's over. Even though it was a 12-point lead, you know, OKC could come back. I said it's in the cards now. I mean, there's no way San Antonio is losing this game. But then again, I thought back also to Jerry West. We were talking the old-time Knicks team, game 3 of the championship series, hit the half-court shot to send it into overtime, yet the Lakers lost. But you got the feeling everything was San Antonio's way. You know, Wemby, Keith, if Wemby was asked, hypothetically, this would be crazy. They'd never ask him. But if there was an emergency and Wemby was asked to play point guard, he could actually play point guard because he could dribble well enough.
He probably could.
He could pass well enough. He could shoot well enough. The guy's an aberration with his height.
It's weird. You know, as he was coming towards half court, I had this weird feeling he was going to make whatever he threw up. It just felt like he was going to make it, just the way things were going that night.
He wanted the ball.
Oh, my. No.
With all the shooters, he wanted the ball.
Yeah.
He didn't run down the court like, you know, throw a long pass to him. He get it. He dribbled down the court, set up. And you know what it is, too? OKC couldn't contest the shot because he's so tall. He gets it. He goes up in the air. You're not going to block his shot once he's up in the air like that, once he gets a little bit of a lead. You know, Holmgren can block a shot on SGA once in a while, or Hartenstein. If they get the jump on, you know, Wemby before Wemby really is getting up in the air. If they start getting up first, they can elevate enough to block a shot while he's on the way up. But
Holmgren somehow blocked one of Wemby's shots in game 1. But
Wemby was a little off balance to the side there. I mean, good play by Holmgren. I don't mean to take anything away from him. Wemby destroyed Holmgren in game 1 for the most part, so I don't want to get carried away like on one block. But listen, Holmgren and Hartenstein, they've had also some success against Wemby in this series. Yeah. To me, you could say in a sense they're the key guys for OKC, because we know SGA is going to show up the rest of the way. We know it. We know how good SGA is. He's not going to go flat the rest of the way. And the rest of the guys on San Antonio, they're the key. Dylan Harper coming off the bench. I'd like to see him become a little more of a factor. He's that good. Stephon Castle, I love the way he played defense.
He's good defense. He does.
I just loved it. He's got to continue that. He's not going to shut SGA down, let's be honest. But I don't want SGA to have these crazy games. Let SGA have his 27, 28-point, game, whatever. But don't let SGA go wild, you know.
I think the kid from St. John's too. I always say his name wrong. Champagne, however you say his name. He played pretty good defense in this series.
Yeah, they all did yesterday. But we see the difference in games. Look at the difference in games 3 and 4. What's going to be game 5 is so unpredictable. But I do like the Spurs to win the next 2 games. I do like them. And I'm going to say this. I like the Spurs to win a close one in OKC, and then they'll win big at home. That's my prediction.
We're going to move to the Knicks, and the Knicks looking to sweep tonight. We'll say good morning to Michael across the pond in England. He wants to know if the Spurs and the Knicks would be the people's choice for this final with the teams that are left.
Yeah, it would. That's a great question. Just let me comment why. OKC, even though they're defending champions, they don't quite have the national name recognition, the national charisma that the Spurs would have with Wemby. Okay?
Plus, they have a history of championships as well, by the way.
There's a difference between charisma and how great you are at times. Okay? Certain teams have charisma. Look, the Lakers would be a bigger box office draw than OKC because with Luka and LeBron, let's be honest, but Golden State with Steph Curry, SGA is great. He deserved this first team, all first team NBA. He's great, but he doesn't quite have the charisma that the others, some of the other players in the league have.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, they have a history. They won 5 championships in 9 years, not that long ago.
Yeah, well, the Spurs, I think it's Wemby that's the tradition.
Obviously, it's a new tradition as well.
We wouldn't think, Keith, we wouldn't think the Knicks are playing the Spurs. We think the Knicks are playing Wemby. That's what would be in people's minds. Can they overcome Wemby?
Yeah.
And we think the other way with Wemby. Can Wemby carry the Spurs to a championship? But they've got to beat OKC. It's good. OKC's the defending champions. They're the champs until they're dethroned.
Agreed. Anyway, on to the Knicks. Listen, I have to start with the Knicks are up 3-0. They've pretty much had their way with the Cavs for a lot of the series. The Cavs got off to a good start. But Kenny Atkinson is looking like a guy who wants to get fired. To sit in a press conference and say, analytically, my team has won 3 of these games, 2 out of 3 if you look at expected outcomes. Nobody cares about that stuff.
Exactly.
Hart doesn't come up in the analytics, by the way. And he also said, if you take away the spurt in the third quarter the other night, we win the game. Well, that's just stupid. How about going to that press conference? I know you want to keep your team thinking they can come back, against all odds. But how about just saying, we got our asses kicked for 3 games, but this team's got a lot of heart, and we're not going to give up. We're not going to quit. That's all you need to say.
I agree with you 100%. So much is about perception, and you've got to talk to a team, motivate a team. And Kenny Atkinson is making all these excuses. He sounds terrible when he's doing it. You know what's sad about all this? Kenny Atkinson, until this Knicks series, was one of the more respected coaches in the NBA. He was unjustly let go by the Nets. A good coach for the Nets, unjustly let go. People speculated, Kyrie Irving was behind it, etc. Well, we'll never know. And I'm not saying Kyrie was.
The players coach.
Yes, Durant didn't like him. Yeah, that the players had a role. Assistant coach, Golden State. So when he gets his opportunity here at Cleveland, and he's done a good job all in all until this next series. Okay, they blow game 1. That was awful, a disaster. Had they not blown game 1, they'd be down 2-1, and we'd be looking at it a little bit differently. Can the Cavs possibly come back in this series? And the way they after blowing game 1 and playing the way they've looked in the last 2 games, motivate your team. Show them a clip of Charles Barkley sweeping up in the studio. Yeah. And that should be your burden. Make your team so ticked off at Charles Barkley that they go out and win game 4 just so they don't get swept. In Cleveland's situation, it really is one game at a time. I mean, sometimes you're down 3-0. You want to still think we can come back and win 4 in a row. We're not giving in at all. But in their case, tell the guys, win 1 game. Then if you want to lose game 5 in New York, fine. Lose game 5 in New York. But whatever you do, don't get swept. That should be your thing. Don't get swept.
I would let these guys know they got their asses kicked for 3 games and show some pride, like you're saying. And let's not go home like a bunch of guys with our tails between our legs, which is what he's doing exactly. This sounds like Aaron Boone at these press conferences, for crying out loud.
No, well, Aaron, no. Certain things Aaron Boone talks to players behind the scenes. publicly,
It's time to put
he
a
doesn't
light a
give,
fire under
give
these
you
guys.
what you want, Keith. But, he does talk behind the scenes. But this is different. We'll leave Aaron Boone out of this. You could attack him later.
I want to get a little Aaron Boone shot.
You could attack him later. That's
It's going to be my only shot to get Aaron Boone into the show.
Okay, I get it. I'm a little like that too with certain sports personalities.
But let a fire under their butts.
Cleveland, this should be Game 4 should be like a Game 7 to them, not because they can win the series. They can, and Kenny Atkinson should say, "You guys, we probably can't win this series. Let's talk as honest as we can. Probably can't, but we can win one game." You don't want to hear the off season the way you got swept. You don't want to hear that. That'll be a humiliation, guys. At home, I mean, do it for the people. Win one game. That's all. And I would give them permission to lose Game 5 because you want to know why? If they win Game 4. All of a sudden, they go to Madison Square Garden. You don't have to psych your team up. They start making some shots, and maybe they get self-motivated.
Maybe.
Just win Game 4, just so you don't get swept.
This doesn't motivate a team.
Making all these excuses now. Well, he's looking at analytics.
Can you imagine Pat Riley going into a press conference and saying, we won those 3 games by paper?
You mentioned baseball. The Yankees, when they beat the Mets, a Mets fan pointed the analytics out to me. He said, the Mets are as good as the Yankees. The Yankees aren't a great team. And he added up the total runs for the 5 games of the series.
That's it?
I mean, that's the argument. Well, we got we got as many total runs nearly as you did. So it's like even.
Silliest argument ever.
It's stupid. It shows you someone who doesn't understand sports. And that's why we have knowledgeable fans on this show, Keith.
Very
knowledgeable people who come into this show, comment, so on. I mean, they're very knowledgeable. But sometimes you talk to the average fan, they have no clue what's going on. And Kenny Atkinson is sounding like one of those fans. It's shocking.
This is a better player, James Harden or Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony.
And their prime?
Better. Carmelo Anthony's better.
That's a great question,
I think Anthony's better. I mean,
no. It's who? Wow.
And they
I want to give you an answer, Danny, but I don't think I should, because I think that's one I would have to really think out.
I think
I could have them both in my prime.
I think the question is there just so he could also point out that neither one's as respected as Bill Bradley. I think that's why he wanted to go there. So, he's right.
Bradley, listen, but Bill Bradley wasn't a leader of the Knicks team. He wasn't a leader. The primary leader was Willis Reed, then Clyde, then DeBusschere, Clyde.
They all led the wrong way.
Bill Bradley filled in nicely. He filled in nicely.
You got a thumbs up from Danny for your answer.
Yeah, that's a great question. James Harden or Carmelo Anthony?
I would take Carmelo
in their prime. What works against Harden is his flop in the playoffs. It creates a negative perception of him during his career.
Yeah.
Carmelo seems to be irrelevant in the playoffs. Not a flop, not a success. I mean, he's irrelevant in the playoffs.
The team's failed, but I don't think Carmelo played down to where Harden has played in his career in the playoffs.
Who would be better fitting into the team concept? Gee, neither of them has won. I mean, neither of them has won a championship. I mean, Carmelo's never been to finals. Harden was when he was a number 3 guy at OKC. Yeah. They went to finals, but really that was Westbrook and Durant's team.
So we both feel the Knicks are going to win this series. Do we think it's a sweep tonight? I do. I think the Cavs got nothing left.
Oh, man. I mean, it's like I had picked the Knicks in 6. Do I really think the Cavs are going to come to life and win 2 games? That's bold. I mean, I'd rather not answer. I mean, I picked the Knicks in 6.
They're going to win a series. I mean, that's all that matters.
The Knicks. Yeah.
Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. If I'm not mistaken, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, the finals don't start till next Thursday. Now, if the Knicks were to wrap this up tonight, that's a long time to sit around.
You said that before the Cleveland series.
I know, but now it's going to be
maybe it has some merit. Look, the Knicks needed a miracle comeback to win, and you could argue in game one that the Cavs blew game one as much as the Knicks won it. You can make that argument, absolutely. I think you want the extra time off. The extra time off. And I think the Knicks remain focused. You want to know why? In part, because they're going to be practicing in New York, and all of New York's going to know the Knicks are going to the finals. New York is going to be in a giddy mood. The Knicks are going to be treated like rock stars going into the finals, and it's going to keep them alert on their toes. And you also, the grind of the season, you rested up there. You rested up. And there's emotions too. If the Spurs and the OKC go 7 games, especially for OKC, if OKC wins this in 7 games, they're going to be so, I think, mentally drained from that series. It's going to take them a little bit to recuperate.
I know this. If they should wrap it up tonight, by the time they get back to New York, because I think the series they'd start on the road, if I'm not mistaken.
It'd be
over 2 weeks. You'd have fans that are like wild animals that haven't been fed in 2 weeks. It would be crazy in the Garden when they finally get there.
Well, the only disadvantage to the Knicks, they're going to have to travel for game one.
Yeah.
If they were home, they could wait for OKC or San Antonio to come to them.
Yeah,
that would be the only disadvantage there. I think the Knicks match up better with San Antonio than OKC. I would pick both OKC and San Antonio to beat the Knicks, but like I said, OKC, I feel absolutely would beat the Knicks. I don't want to say they're locked, but to me they're heavy favorites. It's just better than the Knicks. They have too many bench players, too much depth to throw at the Knicks. The Knicks got a lot of depth too. Don't misunderstand me. The Knicks do. The Knicks have depth on that team.
Not depth like the Thunder.
Not like OKC.
No.
With San Antonio, they're young. The Knicks can exploit a number of those players. And I think Mitch Robinson, he would be a presence that would bother Wemby. And I think Towns shooting from the outside, he could draw Wemby out.
They're playing with a confidence level. They're playing with a confidence level I've not seen in forever on a Knicks team.
Is it possible that this Knicks team that's rolling and dominating for the most part every game except game one, and they dominated the second half of the final period of game one.
Yeah.
Is it possible that this Knicks team has hit their stride and that they're actually not just playing dominating basketball, but they've arrived as a dominating team, period?
It's possible, and we won't find out until they beat the West.
And if they've arrived as a dominating team, the Knicks might just be the best team in the NBA now, and we don't realize it. We just think that they're playing great, but maybe the Knicks at this moment have hit their peak all of a sudden at the end of the year, and they really are a great team, and we don't realize it. That's that school of thought. I don't think that's the case, but it would be nice if it were.
That's why we play the games. The last thing in the NBA, we've got a long time on the NBA because we got off track a little bit, but that was
the NBA is big news. I mean, hockey. Why did they put hockey the same time as the NBA? The games. I mean, why is hockey going head to head?
They're going to play though. If the NBA is playing every other day.
Why do we get 2 games going head to head? Why couldn't hockey go in the afternoon?
Why couldn't the NBA go in the afternoon? I would like to see
the NBA has the upper hand over hockey. It's more popular. The NBA calls the shots. Just like the NFL calls the shots when they go head-to-head with the NBA.
I don't disagree. I mean, the NHL probably should be smarter than going head-to-head with the NBA. I agree. They could have played, especially on the weekends. You certainly
the commissioner, Gary Bettman could have sat down with Adam Silver and say, "Look, we don't want to go head-to-head with you guys. We're trying to avoid it. Let's work schedules. You could have the prime time tonight. We'll go Sunday. We go Sunday afternoon yesterday. Or go late afternoon. Go 4 o'clock in the Eastern time.
Bettman and Silver aren't making those decisions. It's the TV networks that pay all the money. They decide when the games are going to be played. Come on. Let's be real about why they're playing when they play. And they all want the games in prime time.
Why can't, some of these games on weeknights, I understand the time frame going on, but don't start some of these games like 8:15 Eastern time when you can start at 7:15 Eastern time. People got work the next day.
They could
whatever.
Some people do.
Baseball has got it right. They even have certain games starting 6:30 Eastern time or 7. They kind of get it. They understand.
The NHL, though, listen, people who know a lot more about hockey than I do told me that it's irrelevant. All these games are irrelevant. It's going to be the Avs against the Canes. And right now, Vegas sits 3-0 with another game at home tomorrow night. And they come back from a 3-0 deficit in the first period last night. You can say what you want about John Tortorella, and he's a very polarizing guy. He is very good in the short term. The only coach I can think of in the history of sports that is as good as him in the short term is Billy Martin. And they both flame.
I think Mike Keenan has been that way in the short term.
This guy, he always burns bright and then flames out. And this might be the perfect solution. He didn't come in until there was 8 games left in the regular season, and they've had their way here through the playoffs, and they look like they're heading to the finals.
Yeah, and to come back the way they did, down 3 goals yesterday.
Amazing. And the other series is 1-1.
The game realistically, realistically, I don't want to say they could have afforded to lose the game yesterday, but to come back the way they did. And listen, wouldn't it be something if Las Vegas played Montreal in the finals? People weren't giving either team a chance.
Montreal's got a ways to go. They played tonight, tied 1-1 with the Canes.
And Montreal could have been up 2-0 very easily, but they lost
in overtime. Yeah,
lost in overtime. But look at the way they won Game 1 as well, and look at the way they beat Buffalo to advance and to get to this stage.
I know Danny wants to wave his flag too, but it is a big story in hockey. This isn't international competition, right? This isn't the U.S. against Canada. This is the NHL Stanley Cup, and it's a big story when Montreal is good or relevant.
Well, speaking of the other two with the Avalanche, can the Avalanche come back from a 3-0 deficit? It does. It's happened a couple of times in hockey.
Yeah,
Islanders in the old days, they came back from 3-0 against the Penguins. And then the next series, that was the Islanders in their early years before they won like the 4 cups in a row.
Yeah.
Right before. So they came back 3-0 from that series and won 4 in a row with the Penguins. And then they were down 3-0 to the mighty Philadelphia Flyers. And they won 3 in a row to force the 7th game that the Flyers won, though. And then the Rangers were down 3-0 against the Penguins, I believe, too. And they came back and won that series. It's been done a few times in hockey. It's a psychological barrier when you're down 3-0 as opposed to 3-1. Because we've seen it happen a lot of times. Teams that are down 3-1 come back and win a series, but we rarely see a team that's down 3-0 tie it up 3-3, even regardless of a 7th game.
Psychologically, it's a big difference. For one reason, I think it's a big difference psychologically, that one game.
That's why we're talking about the Cavaliers and the Knicks, and you asked me, well, do I still think paraphrasing, do I still think it's going to go 6 games? How can I sit here and say the Cavs are going to win games 4 and 5 and then lose game 6? I don't want to get too cute with that.
That's fair.
But I wouldn't be shocked if the Cavs win tonight, but we're talking hockey now. Hockey is so unpredictable. I guess Montreal, in a sense, is a sentimental favorite, in a sense.
Well, they're heading back home 1-1. I think this is a big game for the Canadians tonight because psychologically, if they lose this game, even split, I think in Montreal, I think they're going to have trouble winning this series.
I don't know. I don't think that much psychologically that goes into it 1-1. If the Canadians lose, they'll be ready to play game 4.
I think win, lose. I think this game might be over 5. Wait. We all know about the Red Sox.
Well, I had mentioned that. Wait, I had mentioned that earlier. I had referred to that earlier. So I'm a step ahead of Danny, like normal.
I try to stay away from that series. I try not to mention that series whenever I can.
You know what was more annoying to me? What's harder for me to deal with? The Red Sox down 3-0 to the Yankees and coming back at the Yankees losing the 7th game to the Diamondbacks in the 9th inning. I have a harder time with the Diamondbacks series. I have a hard time dealing with both of those, but I can give the Red Sox credit. I thought the Red Sox had an outstanding team. So, I give them their credit. I give them their props.
I think both those games sit in the same place for me. Actually, they were both killers. I mean, because you're ahead and you're 1 out away from winning that series in both cases. And Mo Rivera loses the game by throwing a ball in the center field. So that's the game. That's hard to believe.
Well, it's more. There's a number like elements involved. But look,
games you ever lost in a postseason. I think it feels like
Yeah. I mean, you look at Mo Rivera, and the crazy part about it is he's been the greatest pitcher in postseason history. Yet that 1 inning, I mean, it kind of fell apart.
2 innings. Red
We
Sox
pitched 2 innings, but that one last inning. Yeah.
Well, the Red Sox.
Well, there was a stolen base by Dave Roberts.
Yes.
Well, you want to know something? That's on Mo too, because he did walk a batter before, and then the single up the middle. Yeah. And then, so many elements, this and that, you point out. Sports are a game of inches. Like Posada points out, his throw to second base, had it just been a tiny bit to the inside of the bag, they get Roberts out. So many little elements involved, but it's why you play the games. Yesterday's game, the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, the Rays beat teams by playing smart. But did you see the play at the end of the game where the Rays would have gone up? What was it, the 8th and 9th inning? I forgot.
It was
they have men on first and second. Base hit to left field, 2 outs. The runner's going home to score. He's about to score, but the guy behind him tries to get the third, and Bellinger throws the third, and they get him out before the Rays play crosses the plate. It might not have mattered anyway because Judge then hit the 2-run homer. Why I say it might not have mattered. The game would have been
tied, Jack. The game would have been tied if they scored the runs. So
no, it was a 2-run homer by Judge.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean the Yankees necessarily would have won, because maybe the pitcher would have thrown a different pitch to Judge under a different circumstance.
Well, that's true. I mean, you can't say, everything would have played out exactly the same after that. And that was the top of the 8th, I think, if I'm not mistaken, because the Yankees went out they weren't even up 5 minutes on the bottom of the 8th. So, again, big win for the Yankees, though, because they have not been playing great baseball. They
can't, even though they're going to catch Tampa Bay at some point, but you can't afford to go down 8-9 games. Now you're struggling. When you're falling close to 10 games behind, you can still come back, of course, and a lot of teams have, but it's a struggle to get back to first place. It really is. But if you're staying a few games behind, you just need one spurt. In like 1 week, one team goes 2-5, you go 5-2. For example, and before you know it, you're only 2-3 games behind them, and then things will be fine.
Yeah, definitely top of the 8th there was, Danny. I just took a look at the play-by-play because I have to check my own facts sometimes. Anyway, nice when Judge gets out of maybe the worst RBI and home run slump of his career. So nice.
He made a nice catch in the outfield too.
He did,
right?
And you could see that home run was coming because he started squaring up on the ball a lot better the last couple of games, and so it was just a matter of time before he broke.
Yeah, I don't worry about Judge at all. No. Judge sometimes is streaky. Judge can be very bad at times, very bad, and he snaps out of it big time.
You think, by the way, and this wasn't, I guess we'll finish up the show on baseball because I didn't plan on going this direction, but now that we're talking about the Yankees, I'm a little surprised that they kept Volpe up because he can only play one place, and now they've got him working out at second base. But if I got to play a guy at second base for Jazz, why don't I move Caballero over there because he's played there before? It makes
Jazz has been playing better. He's been playing better.
I know that, but if again, either send Volpe to the minors where he can play, and if you want him to play second base, that's where you'll learn, not the major league level. And if you need to play a second baseman over there, you move Caballero over to there and play Volpe at shortstop.
Maybe the Yankees are thinking of playing Caballero at third base. If McMahon doesn't start hitting a little more, he's shown signs at times like he might, but it hasn't been consistent.
Rosario,
I think the Yankees' attitude is we haven't given up on Volpe as being part of the future of this team. That's what they want, and you can only jerk a guy around so much, send them up, send them down. I think the Yankees plan to play Volpe. My concern is this: can Volpe play second base, and how much second base is he going to get to play?
Well, first of all, no, he's never played there, and you don't learn at the major league level. So that's why you can't play him there. And when you got a guy that's got history, if they want to sit Jazz for any reason, rest him, whatever, you move Caballero over there. He's got the history and played the position. You don't put a guy.
That's what I think they're going to do. But Keith, I think they're going to do that.
Why
they're going to move Caballero over shortstop and put Volpe there.
But they're working.
You're going to see. The only way they leave Caballero at shortstop is all of a sudden if he's lights out, if he's great at shortstop. Then I think they might not mess around with him there.
Made a big error Friday night that opened up the floodgates for the Rays to win. Just saying.
And maybe Caballero doesn't sustain what he did before he went on the injured reserve list.
He played well.
He played very well. That's why there's a controversy. If Caballero didn't play as well as he did, Volpe would be the guy, and they couldn't replace Caballero with Volpe, but for a couple of reasons. One, they didn't want to because Caballero played really well before he was hurt. So they wanted to see if he could sustain it when he came back. And number two, if you make that move and Volpe doesn't do well, the fans who are getting on him a bit, I'll be all over him. Yeah. You don't want that scenario.
I really think the Yankees thought that Lombard was going to be ready by midseason. They moved him to AAA a month, 6 weeks ago, and he's hitting like 100 there. He was tearing up AA, and he's hitting like 100 in Scranton, and he's not ready. So they're going to have to come up with another plan if it's not Volpe.
And the Yankees also, there's a possibility they could throw, a lightning bolt at us and make a major, major deal. And if they do that, it's one of their, their young chips might have to be involved, either Lombard, Volpe, or Spencer Jones. Or Juan Dominguez, maybe two of those guys out of the four.
Yeah.
I could see that. Let's say, for example, the Phillies are ready to move on from Bryce Harper, and Harper's okay with going to the Yankees. Harper reportedly likes the Phillies.
Where's he going to play?
Lifelong Philly. You want to know what you could do?
Where's he going to play?
First base, and Ben Rice could be a catcher.
Maybe, but Wells is a better.
Well, why not? Austin Wells hasn't been hitting.
Yeah, but Bird leaves a little to be desired defensively at catcher to play every day. I mean, he's good to play back there again.
Right, yeah.
Rice, I'm sorry.
I get it. I get what you're saying.
Rice.
It's a tough situation. Look, what you could do once in a while, I know Harper's a first baseman. You could still play him in the outfield once in a while. You give Judge a rest, you play him there. You shuttle Harper around between first base, DH, right field. You kind of mix and match. It's very hard. That's why Aaron Boone's a masterful manager. He can handle it.
You got DH most of the time because your boy
Stanton is cutting back on that.
He's more on a DL than he does anywhere else anyway, so you'll need him at some point. Anyway, Good show today, Jack. We got to wrap it up. We thank everybody for their comments, and you guys have a great Memorial Day. Again, as I said, remember why we're celebrating today.
Yeah.
And we'll be back here Friday with more NBA updates, and Jack will be on tonight. I believe you're on tonight with Frank with Glove Fist.
I am, yeah.
7 o'clock Eastern. Check out Jack and Frank as they talk about the USEC fight and other stuff in boxing, I'm sure. So check that out, and we'll see you guys on Friday. Have a great Memorial Day. Bye-bye. Okay.